Hi guys, Liana here from Will Read for Feels, the blog that's all about reading books one emotion at a time. I'm here with Kate Evangelista, author of No Love Allowed. It's a young adult contemporary romance novel about Caleb, who is a young, rich, serial heartbreaker who hires Dee Dee. She's an artist and a former waitress to be his fake girlfriend for the summer. The only rule is neither of them can fall in love with each other. The problem is they both break the rules. Keep watching for our exclusive interview with this up-and-coming and very gorgeous author.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So I'm just going to dive right in and say, can you tell us about Caleb and Dee Dee?
Okay, let's start with Caleb. Because this is the first time that I wrote a character who's both rich and douchey at the same time. Really. I mean, in the very beginning, you see him, he's like, I can teach a master's class in jerkology because it's justifiable because he breaks the hearts of these girls, thinking he's saving them from falling in love with him. So it's almost like I'm not doing this to be mean, but if you look at it, it really comes off as mean because these girls are obviously in love with him. But as you read the book, you start to see why is he that way? Why does he impose that rule? And I think that really humanizes him as a character. And then Dee Dee, local artist, quirky. And this is actually the first time that I've written a female character that people don't hate so much. Because with Phoenix, she was a very combative character, and I also felt that at times when I was writing her, she was like, she's annoying. What can I do? But with Dee Dee, she has that right combination of quirk, spunk, and she's her own. She doesn't dance to the beat of her own drum. She's the drummer, so it's kind of, I don't know. I love her. I love her very much, and I'm definitely proud of this book and the two of them coming together.
So Dee Dee is the first character I think I've read from you who has where you've been open about her having mental health issues. She's bipolar. Mm-hmm. Was it hard to write a character with these issues, or did it come naturally, or?
It was both hard and easy at the same time. Hard because I wanted to do my research, but at the same time, I didn't want to flood the book with way too much information about what it means to be bipolar, because definitely there are many more sources out there that can explain it better than I can in a book that's really mainly a romance. And I really knew in my head when I was writing this, Dee Dee kept telling me that this is a romance. I have bipolar disorder, but that's not what the whole book is about. Because I feel like if and my editors and I really talked about this in depth, is that if we added, because there were scenes that were taken out that really featured more of her being bipolar, and it was really edging towards more of a contemporary fiction as opposed to the contemporary romance, and it was taking away from the relationship of Dee Dee and Caleb, and that would have been more problematic in the end, because I think that would skew the story too much. Parang, okay, so is this really a romance or is it an issue book? And so, because if you see with issue books, the romance is there, but it's not as it's not the main point of the story. They focus more on the issue. And then books that are more romance, the issue is there, but it's not necessarily the main point of the story. Yeah, so I really struggled with trying to keep the balance between explaining or showing the readers Dee Dee being bipolar and how it affects her as an artist, and keeping the pace of the love story.
My next question is about Dodge Cove.
Yes.
This was, how did you come up with the idea? Did you have an inspiration for it?
I always imagined that if you're familiar with Nora Roberts' Chesapeake Bay series, because they live in that kind of, so I sort of imagine it along the coast, and the name Dodge Cove, the reason why because that phrase, get out of Dodge, or correct me with that phrase, but it's basically the phrase of running away. So I said, okay, Dodge Cove, because Caleb always wanted to leave. He wanted to explore more of the world. So that is connected with the name. It sort of became part of the name of the place, and I wanted it to be. You could really see the line between the rich and the people who own yachts and go to the country club, and then those who are across the tracks, Dee Dee's world, where Caleb's like, you live here, and you, are you sure you want to live here? And yet it's still the same. It's the same place. So it's that kind of dichotomy of, how can I balance? Okay, they're rich, and then there's like people who are middle income or struggling, but they live in that just one place.
You've already got the proof copy of your next book,
Yes.
No Holding Back. I
Yes.
think I saw that on your Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that that's about Nathan and Preston, who are supporting characters in
Yes.
No Love Allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to see Dodge, or you mentioned in your program earlier that it's going to be a Euro trip? So
Yes.
I was wondering, I was kind of like, are we going to get to go back to Dodge?
Yes, we are. The thing is, because with Preston, he is a swimmer training for the Olympics. So we begin in Colorado, where this swimming facility is, the number one swimming facility in the U.S. And he's trying to get into the team because he knows if he gets into that team, it's gold all the way. And then they go back to Dodge Cove. And then the European adventure came out of it because it was already planned. If you've seen that was Caleb's dream, that he wanted a gap year of just going to Europe and exploring the world. And it was actually like a world round the trip. So Nathan, it's my editor's like, oh, there's this trip that's been planned. Why not use it? So it's kind of that, like taking them out of that situation so that they can explore each other more and be more comfortable with each other. Because I feel like if they were not alone, because if they're in Dodge Cove, them being alone, the chances of them being alone is very small. So Preston would have been more focused on swimming. So taking them out of that environment, putting them together in a different environment, allowed Preston to slowly let go of the swimming and slowly see, Nathan. So it's that kind of, and then we go back to Dodge Cove after that. And then, so don't worry, it's kind of, we will return to Dodge Cove.
And it won't. So does this mean that this won't be the last we see of Caleb and Dee Dee?
Yes, of course. They are in No Holding Back. They create. There's a phone call where Dee Dee's like, so did you tell him yet? And then Nathan's like, she knows. Of course she knows. Caleb told her. Oh, yeah, she knows. And then no, I haven't told her. But you have to tell her. They're actually a huge part of the book, and we see more of Natasha as well, because it's leading up to something for her story as well.
So book 3?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Do you see yourself living in the Dodge Cove writing space for a while, or do you think it's going to be a terminal series where there's a fixed number of books, or is it going to go on and?
Well, right now it's looking like there's a fixed number of books. I'm definitely open to exploring more of that world, the Dodge Cove world, but we'll see. We'll see what the future holds, because right now it's just really all about No Love Allowed and then focusing on No Holding Back afterwards.
Do you think at some point you might go older, or do you think that it's going to stay in the YA space?
YA and A, those two. I haven't really explored the adult category yet. Probably when I'm much older, I'm not closing myself off to that. But I really love the YA and the NA space. It's such a magical time of our lives, and it's something we hunger for. I think we continue to hunger for, even if a lot of us, or especially me, I mean, my YA times were like, I just want to forget. I guess that's why I read a lot of YA, is because my own experiences could not live up to the experiences of the people in books. So that's what I'm looking for.
Do you all your previous, well, except for Romancing the Bookworm, I think all your previous works had some element of fantasy. Do you think
Yes.
at some point you're going to go back to that, or do you think that contemporary is the way you're going to be going?
Well, right now I'm in a contemporary headspace, but I have this fantasy novel that's waiting to be written. I already have the board. I'm putting it together, and it's inspired by, I'm not afraid to say this, it's inspired by, Rihanna's video where she's in the lake, and then she sort of looks like a crocodile. I forget the title of the video. It's a dance song, where she's like, you see her, she's in the she's like the queen of the desert, and then she's in a swamp with these handsome guys, and they're mimicking crocodiles, so that is the inspiration of that fantasy novel. So I can't it's like I don't know the title, but the song is in my head. It's actually playing in my head. But yeah, I can't wait to write that one.
Cool. Okay, now going into the more technical aspects of your journey as a writer for this particular book.
Yes.
With Swoon Reads, they introduced a new format where you put up your novel and people vote for it. Well, they share their Swoon. I think it was something like they share the certain emotions.
Yes. Yes.
About
Yeah.
that.
Heat,
Yes.
laughs, tears, and thrills. Yeah.
Which is right up our blog, my blog's alley, actually. So, was the idea just kind of something you rode with, or was it just something that you weren't sure about at first, or?
Oh, with Swoon
Yeah.
Reads? Well, when Swoon Reads was first introduced, I said, oh, this is an interesting concept. Because at the time, a lot of the publishers were exploring more, because the ebooks were really big. And so they were exploring more of the electronic side of things. This is why a lot of imprints came out that are more electronic based. And what I love about Swoon Reads is it gets the community involved in the selection process of a book. How many people can say, oh, I helped get that book published? So it's sort of that kind of mindset where you already have a set reader base in a community of writers that give not only ratings, but valuable feedback. And I think that's the great thing about Swoon Reads, because you are able to see where can I improve my novel. And I believe the comments that are more substantive, almost like book review comments, are the ones that get novels in front of editors, not necessarily how many ratings it gets or how many comments it has. Because a book can have 1,000 comments with I love it, I love it, I love it, but it's not necessarily going to get picked up by Swoon Reads. So it's not a popularity contest, which is comforting, I think, for writers. Because what if you're just a writer starting out and you don't have that reader base, and you're just really relying on your friends. Can you read and rate my book? As opposed to if you already have a platform and then you announce that you have your book there and then go vote. So it's kind of that you really see the difference. There are books that were only rated, like only had 20 ratings, but they get picked up. So it's, and then there are books that have like 300 ratings, but they don't get picked up. So that's it. It really evens out the chances of writers getting picked. If you have I really stand by, if you have good book and the comments are solid, most likely you get in front of the editors.
I was just thinking that it would take a lot of gumption as a writer to put your book up knowing that that's not how it's going to end up at the end. So I was wondering, did you have any, I don't know, anxiety about that?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I in the beginning, I said, okay, I want to submit. I knew I was going to submit to Swoon Reads, but it took me, I think they were already up a year before I actually submitted, because I really wanted the right story. I wanted the right, because I knew Swoon Reads focused on romance, whether it's romance in contemporary fantasy or horror or whatever. So I wanted the right book to post there. And then suddenly the inspiration for this game, wrote it in 2 weeks, edited it like in 1 week, and then bam. And the thing is, I got lucky because I guess it's really kismet, because they extended the deadline. That time that because they don't really extend deadlines. So, because the deadline originally was September, they extended it to October. So if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have been able to submit, or that I only had a bit of time to ask readers to read before they needed to choose already. So I don't know. I think, really that concept of do the work and then the universe will follow. Yeah.
I'm sure there are going to be some people who are watching this who actually did help in the process.
Oh,
and
yeah.
voted for and reacted to and commented on your story.
Mm-hmm.
How different can they expect this to be, the book to be, from what they read before when it was still warning you might fall in love
you might
with
fall
me?
in love with me. Yes. I think they can expect more depth. I mean, especially this exploring Caleb's reasoning for not falling in love, for not wanting to fall in love, and really giving him a pivot point that allowed for the fake girlfriend and for the situation of the parties. The core of the story is still there, but it's more of we deepened the relationship between Didi and Caleb, and we added more scenes. For example, the scene with Nathan going to Didi's house to help her pick out the next outfit. It's one of my favorite scenes, because so he's like rummaging through her closet, and then he like gasps, he's like, oh, and then Didi's like, what? Did you see a mouse? And then he's like, no, worse. He's like, what? I saw polyester. And you see, and then Kayla's like, and then Didi's like, you're not. It's obvious you're not gonna find anything there, so might as well take me shopping. So that part you see Didi finally give in to, okay, you're gonna dress me up, fine, let's go. Because Didi was very hesitant about that in the beginning, and we added that. My editor helped me add that, because in the first book, Didi just gets swept up in Caleb's world and Nathan's world, and we didn't really see her struggling to keep her identity, even because she really has a thing about people spending money on her, and that's her issue with them. It's like, you people are throwing away money, like it's, because she's struggling, her family's struggling. So for her, anybody who wastes money is like, come on. And oh yes, and the one thing we changed is they don't exchange money anymore, because for those who read it in the beginning, Caleb actually pays her, and my editor was like, that's kind almost like she's prostituting herself, and I sort of agreed to. So we changed it to art supplies instead.
But one of the things I noticed is that you're really not shy to go there in terms of the differences between their lifestyles, because I think in the first chapter, Dee Dee is worried because they've cut off the power in her house, right? So she wasn't able to shower or something like that.
Yeah.
So was that something that you've had personal experience in, or is it something that you've taken from reading or?
Yeah, I think because definitely, if you look at it, we live in a country where the line between rich and poor is very, very obvious. I mean, just go, just driving through EDSA, you would already see, right, the difference in economic structures. And I've always been, even in my college days, I've always been fascinated by that. It's like, how can we, like, for example, in La Salle, you have this school that has a really high tuition fee, and then just a river across, you have people living almost in an impoverished life, or pretty much paycheck to paycheck, just across the school from kids who are paying almost 100,000 for a tuition fee. And that really stuck in my mind because it's a very almost controversial topic as well, and I wanted to really explore that, especially with Dee Dee, and knowing how medication is expensive, how her mother has to work so many jobs because just so that she can take medication. So it's really a big issue. In fact, I wrote a scene where Dee Dee sees her mom crunching the numbers at night. But of course, since we're not exchanging money anymore between Caleb and Dee Dee in the story, we needed to take that out because it didn't make sense, like for her to long for taking the money instead of just art supplies. But I still wanted to show that Caleb, life of excess, Dee Dee, life of paycheck to paycheck. That's why losing her job was a blow. Her job at the country club.
Okay. You've spoken a little about the editing process, but from social media, I've gathered that it's kind of like, even though you've worked with editors before, this Swoon Reads in particular has given you a new experience.
Yeah, I love it. I really found my home. I really did. And Holly and Lauren and Emily, they have been they're really saviors to my writing life because they taught me so much about even with just character arcs. Like, oh, see the character arc in this chapter, and then the character arc in the next chapter, and they taught me how to look at the chapters as stories in themselves, and looking at the character arcs. Okay, we've already explored the character arc here, so we move on to another one until it builds and builds up to the end. That's why we see with Caleb, he begins as the, closed off, I'm not going to fall in love, and then with each chapter, it builds, and you slowly see that he's fallen into his own trap. But the thing is, he's not sure if Dee Dee feels the same way, so he's like, oh no, this is, and then Dee Dee struggles with it too. So they really godsend. I mean, I really learned a lot, and I continue to learn a lot from them with each new book that I write.
Were there any particular challenges or highlights to the process for you?
Well, highlights. I love getting editorial notes because they're so specific. It's like, so what if? And that's what I love because if they say, okay, make it more dramatic, that's so general. So like, how can I make it more dramatic? For Holly and Lauren, it's like they really give specific suggestions that allows you to view the story using different avenues, which gives me the chance to write new chapters, explore more character growth. And I think if they didn't do that, the stories wouldn't have, the writing wouldn't be as strong as it is. And that, I'm so grateful for that. And, in terms of challenges, none yet. I mean, I keep threatening to give Holly my firstborn, because she really, I look forward to I look forward to the editing process more because of the help that she gives me.
So I know you've done NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, in the past.
Yes.
And you've been very open about being a pantser. Do you think that has changed for this novel or the next one?
Yeah, it's definitely changed. Now I'm a hybrid, pantser and then outliner as well, plotter, because I've realized I needed to evolve as a writer, and there are scenes that just I can write out of the just in the seat of my pants, out of just as a pantser, but there are some scenes that I need to plot out so that I'm conscious of the character growth and the character arc. It's really helped with no holding back. That's what I did really. Start off with an outline. First time I've ever done out for a whole book, for an entire book. So, and then writing it out. So I used to be afraid of outlining because I felt like it would limit the story. When now I see that outlining gives me more confidence because the story is already essentially there. But at the same time, if I want to deviate, I still deviate. But making sure that I come back. So it's not a wild, reckless abandon anymore. It's more controlled and, still the laser, but focused.
Can you share any writing advice that you might be able to share from your journey in from No Level Out to No Holding Back? Just what you've learned, for somebody who's an aspiring writer themselves, what would be your overarching tip, I guess?
Well, now I'm just, for me, big proponent of finish the novel, because I have a different writing style, you have a different writing style, everybody does. But if you don't finish the novel, there's nothing to edit, there's nothing to publish, there's nothing to submit, there's nothing to publish. So, and even Josh Whedon, that's the first rule of his 10 writing rules. So it's finish. Because it's true. I mean, if you don't have anything to work with, if you don't have anything to edit, then, right? So that's what separates writers from readers who have a novel in them. The writers actually finish.
Okay. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the blog, but we do this thing where when we review a book, apart from giving the usual commenting on the story and the characters, we do something called feel factor ratings.
Okay.
Where we do some the tear factor, the laugh factor, a lot like what Soon Reads did. The swoon factor, we have that. The steam factor. What feel factors do you think your readers would expect from No Love Allowed?
Okay, from No Love Allowed, lots of laughs, definitely, especially coming from Nathan. And then lots of, maybe I think when it comes to tears, more on the mid-range, especially when they are confronted with her having bipolar disorder. And then a bit of thrills, and we have definitely lots of drama between the two of them, because not only does Dee Dee challenge him, always she loves taking him out of his comfort zone. So, and then he challenges her in that he wants to show her that his world is not as bad as she would think she thinks it is. So it's that they always come to blows with that, and then you see them eventually start to accept each other and finally fall in love with each other. So that's I think think that's a beautiful thing to see in a book between two characters.
So for readers who are interested in learning more about this book and your upcoming books, where can they go to follow you?
Well, I think the easiest is if you go to my website, www.kateevangelista.com. So Kate Evangelista is one word. On the left side, all of my social media is there. And on Twitter, I'm at Kate Evangelista. So it's very easy. I usually do my announcements there. And so they can follow me. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You know, if they want to see my cat babies, they're all there. And I do most of my announcements really on Twitter and on Facebook.
I think you're Kate Eva
11.
11?
Yeah, on Instagram. Yes.
On Instagram.
Mm.